Welcome back. In this video we will analyze in more detail these integrated management information systems known as ERPs or Enterprise Resource Planning Systems and relate them to the concept of integrated business processes and to the life cycle of individual business transactions. A business process is a collection of related activities or tasks that produce a specific service or product and thus create value for a customer. This customer can be external to the company or a so-called internal customer, typically another group or department within the company. Quite often, the output of a task is the input of the following task. Thus, tasks are grouped together in a process because they are related by the effect they produce and because they typically belong to a sequence, not because they are similar. Typical example of a business process is order fulfillment. That encompasses all the activities a company must carry out to ensure that a customer order is fulfilled. That is, received, delivered, and, depending on how it is defined, even invoiced and collected. On the other hand, a business function, such as marketing or accounting, encompasses all the tasks that are similar and therefore require the same skills or knowledge. Companies are often organized by functions. Thus, the accounting department would carry out the accounting tasks for all the company's business processes that involve some accounting. As you can see from the definition of business process, the term can be used to refer to a large, long process encompassing many activities, such as order fulfillment. However, if we decompose this large process into several sub-processes, these are also processes. Thus, there is a continuum from high-level, very long business processes that can be gradually decomposed into ever smaller sub-processes, until at some somehow arbitrary level we decide it is too simple or small to call it process and name it activity or task. Some people call this elementary level a business transaction, and thus say that business processes can be decomposed into elementary business transactions. It is not exactly the same concept as a database transaction, discussed in last section, but it is related, in the sense that both the IT-oriented database transaction and its business cousin, the business transaction, share this all or nothing characteristic. There is, however, an alternative meaning for business transaction, quite relevant for our analysis. For lack of a better word, we will call each individual entity or object that goes through a business process an individual business transaction. Thus, each customer order going through the order fulfillment process, each purchasing order undergoing a procurement process, and each investment proposal being subject to an approval process would be individual business transactions. The life cycle of the business transaction, therefore, would correspond to the series of activities that make up the business process it must undergo. We will differentiate closed transactions, in which all required tasks have been completed, the transaction's life cycle is completed, from open transactions, such as a customer order in an order fulfillment process that has been received and approved but not yet shipped. These apparently simple concepts of business processes, sub-processes and activities, business functions and individual business transactions are key for understanding management information systems and ERPs. Thus, before establishing the connection between them and information systems, we will illustrate them using the same car garage analogy. We will do that right after posing a couple of brief questions just to ensure that we rethink for a minute on these concepts. I will see you right after these questions.